Good morning. Okay, let me just record this. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. Or good afternoon, good evening. All right, Cynthia on Demand. I'm Cynthia Harrison from Rhombus Healing Arts and Holistic Mystic and Spirit Whisperers. What else? All sorts of awesome ways to connect and be together. So if you're here on social media, say g'day or hey or hi or give me a wave. And we're going into another aspect of what we spoke of yesterday. However, if you weren't here yesterday, it's perfectly fine. We were talking about the 3 levels of intuition, among other things, because we did go into all sorts of stories and examples and happenings. So welcome. People are just still coming in. So I'm going to touch on and go a little bit deeper, give you some, gentle experience, and just see what comes up for you and what your questions or comments are in relation to these parts of the self and how these parts of the self impact positively, negatively, everything in between your life. How you are, why you are, how you are. So, how are you doing? How did you wake up this morning? Some of you it's evening, but for me it's still morning, 9 a.m. here. And I started bright and early. Had some calls this morning, the legal kind. Oh, looking good. Can't say anything yet, but, we just go with the flow. What I said yesterday, let's start here. So I was talking yesterday about choice to some degree. There's a little bit in there around being able to make choice. So if you wanted to have more choice in your life, so, we were talking also about, thinking about what you want. Okay. Thinking about what you want or what you need, what you want to or desire in the world, like what are you wanting to cause and create? Is there something that you're working towards right now? And I'm right in it. I'm right in that shift. And it's like, oh, okay, so now I have this extra information that I took action to get. I have more information, which is creating more choice. And we had to say this morning before I got on this call, I know it's a little cryptic because I don't want to tell you too much yet. But just listen to the modeling of this for you, right? Something's happening in my life. I felt like I had no choice. My choices were being taken away, so that I had to just do or be and take a particular action because of the laws or the procedures or the, operating procedures if it's in your company or whatever, right? It could be laws of the country you're in. It could be the laws of the organization you work for. It could be the unspoken, unwritten laws of your family. And things play out and you may feel like you have no choice. or limited choice. So yesterday we touched on, well, what do you want? What was that you wrote down? And what are you willing to do to have that, or to even see whether there is another choice? So again, it's the difference between being that amateur in your life, or we could say, another way of saying it, you may have heard it said like this, the employee mindset or the employer mindset. You know, are you the boss? Are you the manager? Are you the owner of the company? Your company is your life. The organization is you. Do you understand? So when you hear me saying all this other weird language and you're like, well, I don't run a company, or I'm not an entrepreneur. Really? I don't have to make all these choices. You don't? Okay. So you're on autopilot and you're allowing the environment and the things and people around you to make the choices for you. I have a way of speaking, and it's I've changed the way that I share with you a little, because how I generally speak is very sort of poetic and cryptic. And this type of sharing, how I used to speak about it, and I still do a little bit, is about the music or the song that you play. And you have 72,000 nadis, or energy pathways, or energy aspects. And how I look at those and how I interact with those is as if I am the musician. My instrument is my body and my energetics. And I'm choosing what string to pluck, to play, as in a massive harp. If I choose the notes to play, then I'm creating my own vibration, my own impact, my own sound, my own song, my own verse into the world. How are you means what song, what frequencies are going out into the world. How are you meeting the other before they've even seen you? You meet the other through your R-ing, through your vibration, through the world. People feel your energies, your song, before they meet your physical. They may be unconscious, and you may be unconscious of how you're receiving others. So how are you playing your instrument? How are you writing and co-creating this symphony that we call Cynthia, Emma, Rebel, Lisa, Nicole, Yosei, you know, whoever's watching, Christine, Deb, Matthew, Eric, David, John. Putting some men in there just in case, right? So just contemplate that. And maybe it's a contemplation for your meditation, or for later on today, where you can really sit and go, okay, am I playing this instrument, or is it being played? Are you being played? And that's a saying, well, in my country, oh, I've been played. Oh, he's playing me. She's playing me. What does that mean to you? It can have a beautiful connotation. If they're conscious and mindful of the intricacies of your instrument. So it's a choice, yeah? Are you playing your instrument and creating the magic, the music, the sound, the song, the verses into the multiverse? Or are you allowing, as you walk through the world, to be strummed unconsciously by whoever or whatever you happen to move past or through? Something to consider. Another way of looking at it is, are you the director of your life? Are you the conductor of the orchestra? Do you have your baton, I think it's called? Are you tapping the baton? Are you ready to play? Right? All the parts of the self, all the levels of the self. Are you ready? Right? Are you? Okay. How are you? Tap your baton, whatever that is for you. Maybe it's a hand to the heart. Are you ready? As you breathe out, right? Knowing that every breath, an aspect of soul, or sometimes I say spirit, but there is a difference, but right, leaves through your five senses into the world unconsciously. And as you take a breath in, you command, return, come back to me, stay here. And as you breathe out, you're saying, remain here, stay with me. So you're not losing yourself into the environment. That is a meditation in itself. Right? This is a reminder for many of you. Been teaching this sort of stuff for years. What I was reminded of yesterday, my business coach, she sends little videos multiple times a day. And sometimes I'll look at the phone and there's like so many, and I'll just, but I said out loud to someone, wouldn't it be awesome to have that? Well, I was developing, so, I'm an inventor, so I won't go too far into it, but I was like reminded of something that I know, like as a business strategy. I know it. I've heard it multiple times. But when I heard her say it, just, like a 1 minute little video, I was like, there it is. Right. And so coming on here and I'm refreshing some things in a slightly different way for you to go, possibly, oh, yep, I forgot. Or I'm not really, I stepped in to be the director or the conductor of my orchestra or my being, all the parts of my being, all the parts of myself. That's your agency. That's your organization. That's your conglomerate. Is that the right word? All these, this is what you direct through your life. Not to mention, so some of you might be overwhelmed by that right now, because I was just like, not to mention, your actual families and, your actual brick and mortar business, or, all the different things that you have going on outside of yourself with the other. Right. Oh, and now I've got all of this to do, right? Think about it this way. When you are in that directorship, so this is my baton, right? I'm the conductor. Everything else will flow. Everything else will fall into place. Everything else will. Now, when I say fall into place, it may not necessarily be exactly what you want, but it may be what you need in that moment, and you can't see it fully. So just being open to that. Oh, and there's another part to that. It'll come back if it's right. So when we're in directorship, meaning in our core, right? Our central core. Oh, that'll do, right? This energy that goes through the whole body, right? It looks like a battery. But within that, there's all of these rings. So we could see this part as, so there's the center, there's this center part. And then we have all the rings, like a tree, the tree rings, the rings of a tree. And what parts of those are activated? So that's more of on an energetic, spiritual understanding, right? And how this core is expanding, right? This part is expanding, so it goes all the way through the body, your physiological systems and your energetic systems. And so we can look at, I'm just seeing whether you can see that okay, yeah? Our true self, or the core of ourself, our true identity, our mindful awareness, what we want to bring into contact with the rest of our system out into the world, which comes through as behavior, how we are in the world, our behavior, the actions we take. So the more that this expands and we can move through these layers and levels and activate them at their full potential, or as close to in this lifetime, you may need to come round a few times, who knows, how you are in the world, right? And those behaviors, but all of this is resonating all out into, and hitting all these other people, right? How are you impacting? It's just like the mother. So as I saw that, I was reminded of the mother, right? And how she births from the center. This is going to get messy. Birthing is messy. And then there's this holograph of all these, aspects of self. This is on the macro level, right? So all these, all these people, all of us, all of the beings in the world. So this is how creation reflects itself. I don't know if that's quite true, itself, but that's the word I'm using at the moment, into this relative reality and how we experience each other, from birth, grow up, we have all these experiences, and then we start, shrinking a little until we're, in the ground. That's life and death. And then we come back, soul aspect, number one, right? Soul, body, into negative mind, number two, where we start going, that's going to hurt us. We shouldn't touch that. Oh, if we make that action, that's going to impact us this, that, and the other way. And then we got three, which is positive mind, right? So 1 to 2 is the separation. Oh, there's another person here. So 1 into 2. Oh, there's someone else there. But then you're doing that with the other. Oh, there's someone else. Oh, look, I can see other people here with me. I'm not just speaking to the aspects of myself, right? 3 is positive mind. These are the aspects that start to give you a yes and a no, a real basic choice. And to the 4, which is the neutral mind, where you're not just sitting in fear, you're not just sitting in love, you're sitting in 1 + 2 + 3 + 4 = 10. 1, 0 holds the complete system. I know that's a mess, but did you get that? It's a bit of a mess. All right. It all starts in a mess. Birthing is messy. Right? And the 0 that holds. So the 10, right? Coming in to existence, growing into seeing both love and fear, both positive and negative, right? So this is why I'm saying, if you're only going love, 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 or positive, 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 are you getting a 10? Are you getting the full picture of how you are in the world? 5 is the crossover. So this is the human experience, 1 to 4. Or even, yeah, we'll just say it like that. So 4 at the heart. And we start to go to the 5, where there's a crossover from lower regions to upper regions. So I guess if we were going to look at these in levels of intuition, because that's what I said we were going to talk about, so I better at least mention it. it is all that, right? It's how I look at the world, how I see the patterns, how things cross-reference and cross-pollinate. It is all to do with levels of intuition, right? All of it. But if we want to break it right down, we've got, okay, the soul coming from divine intuition into the body, right? And these 1 to 2 lower density consciousness, right? If we're talking about the chakras or the power centers of the body, the base, the body, thought, speech, actions, right? The world at that density level. And then we've got going towards the intermediary, is what I was calling it yesterday, right? Is that those center, I'm just moving some, the intermediary where, you know, we can start to access all of, you know, all of the intermediaries, the aspects that support us. We're getting more and more data, more and more access to all the parts of ourselves. We have the opportunity to start integrating them at the heart. And then 1 + 2 + 3 + 4 technically gives you the whole 10. But half of the whole at 5 is the crossover in the neck. So in the Psi program, we go deeply into that. Would you remember 5? Some of you that done Psi? Which stands for Simran Ishnan experience, which translated means the cleansing of karma, or the cleansing of your stuff for the remembrance of God, right? It's my spiritual name. That's what it means. The one who cleanses for, you know, clears, cleanses, brings awareness for the remembrance of the beloved, for the remembrance of all that is. Okay. So at the 5, we get to this point where there's a bridge. And if you're used to the awakening ascension sort of language, we might call that the void. From the heart, high soul heart, 7 aspects or lights, points of the heart, the divine heart, all the aspects of the chest, all the hearts, physical, spiritual aspects, higher aspects of heart, lower aspects of heart. That's a whole journey in itself. Just a whole journey in itself. Maybe we'll do that one day. Just talk about the different types of heart awakenings and where they're at. I don't think I've taught that for a few years, actually. And then there's a void, a death alchemy. Yesterday I spoke about, how did I word it? The fear or the shift, or when you make that choice, you change. So there's a fear of change, the unknown, right? So why many people don't, you know, they want to jump that void if they know about it. But these are the dark night of the soul type stuff. This is where a lot of your fears, fear of love will come. And some people may see them. I've had many people over the years contact me just terrified by what they're seeing, because they're being prepared for that alchemy, that death alchemy, where you see the shadows parts of the self. And depending how much work you've done, how much has been going on, what you see can be terrifying. But when you understand what you're seeing, it's no longer terrifying. It's about looking at the aspects of the self that are the fear base, right? Fear. And being, not running away, not turning away, not stepping away, standing in the fire. Standing in the fire. Some of you watching have been here. Some of you I've walked beside you. Some of you I've stood next to you in your terror. And you stood there. Metaphorically. Trusting. You trusted me. Because I've been there. I know it. I experienced it directly. I've taken many people through the process where they stand in front of the aspects, the fearful aspects of themselves. When you understand what they are and you meet it with opening, you see that there's more light in the darkness, meaning it's the gateway, it's the void, it's the gate to the heavens, to the higher aspects, whatever you want to call it. But it is this this crossover point. And the 5, so the numbers, just in case you're interested in the numbers, and you know they go on, but I'm talking more about the more physical sort of human experiences, because we go animal, human, sort of angelic, or you know, into the other realms for the, you know, the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 holds the whole, right? So we do have the next psi, it's called psi cura, which is psi heal yourself, or the heal thyself, cure thyself. The understanding of a lot of this, not abstract, in relation to your journey, your vibration, and how we work that out is through not only your name, your birth date, all sorts of data, but also through the intuitive process. So you will be getting data, your numbers. You'll be getting shown how they play out in the world, so that you can see your fear of fear and your fear of love. And when you understand that and how it plays out into your behavior, into the world, into the field, then you have choice. So I started off by saying, you know, I'm going through a process in my life, huge process, and I'm like, who knows more about this than me? And a lady showed up in my community, so reached out to her. This morning I had a call with the law clerk that works for her, and he gave me all sorts of information, and in the next couple of days we'll be going into that action by going, who else knows about this? I can just take what people have said and give them all my power. Now, just know it may not change the outcome, because I may still choose to do what I'm being told to do, but it will be my choice, because it's my life. And now I have more options that were always there, but I didn't know what I didn't know. Hear me. We are too scared often. I'm not saying all of you. I don't know who's watching all of this, right? But so asking yourself, is there something happening in your life, in your direct environment that you feel, or maybe you're even unconscious of it? So what's happening for you? And what else could you have done? Because I did this the other day with so I had a mastermind to go to in Puerto Rico. And I was like, well, I can't go because my visa stuff, can't leave the country. So I was like, oh, well, I can't go. But I there was a call, right, for certain reasons, networking, all sorts of things. And then when the shift came in I could go back to Australia. I was like, oh, but do I have to? I could just go to Puerto Rico. Do you see? I could just shift it slightly and not go straight back to Australia. I could go to Puerto Rico, go to this mastermind, be trained by the best of the best, and network and see some of my friends that'll be there too, and hang out for a few days, and then go. Do you see? So I started to look into that. And it doesn't matter what the outcome is. Hear this. It doesn't matter what the outcome is. By understanding or knowing, not believing, knowing I had another choice, it opens you up. It grows you. You have growth. What does that mean? Everyone talks about growth. What does that even mean? This is what it means. When you're working from a straw of connection to the divine, the tiny little, because someone said to me once, aren't we all connected? Yes, but some of you connected by a tiny little freaking string, like trying to blow through a straw. That's so, have you done that? It's actually a practice for singing, apparently. Emma, do you know that one? I saw it on a reel the other day. Humming through a straw or whatever, but the pressure of the straw will determine how much workout on your throat you get, right? So, straw, this is your head. Can you see the green? A representation of your head, just in case some of you are sticklers for, I hope this is not your head. That's all I'm saying. All right. So I'll do it in black because it's a bit clearer, right? So here's this connection. Call it what you will. I'm just going to keep it simple. It's a connection, right? See here? This inner core. You see here? Right? It's all the same thing. When you have expansion, when you're growing, people talk about, it will expand you, you will grow, and you need constriction to grow and all of this. What does that mean? You'll have something for yourself that means. I'm going to give you some other information, possibly. You may already know this. Oh, just read your message about getting up at 4 a.m. to beat the heat. Yeah. Whew. So expanding into, so your center could be this big. And your center could be this big. And your connection could be this, right? Those that do what I call conscious evolution, especially those of you that have done Conscious Evolution or Evolver, the program I ran for years. I don't have one running at the moment, but this is what we're working on. And I talk about it like your physical leveling up from a Volkswagen, a little bug, you know, the little beetles, meet me, or I don't know, I was going to say a Mini Coupe, but they're pretty cool. I quite like them, the new ones, right? But, you know, like, or a Datsun, a little Datsun from back in the day, Datsun 130B or whatever they were, right? Anyway, to a high performance vehicle. The high performance vehicle is such because the amount of information when you are a high performance vehicle, the amount of information coming in, it's a lot. It's fast. It's can feel intense. It can be overwhelming. This is why we have such things as spiritual emergency. Yeah, heard of it? It's where you start opening up, maybe even just a little crack, and you get flooded with information, but your systems aren't used to it. So if you took a Datsun 120 or 130B, whatever they were, right, and drove it or tried to drive it, I don't even know if they would go to 200 miles an hour, right? But if you drove it or tried to drive it at 200 miles an hour, how long before the engine would blow up or the tires would go or your brakes would burn out? Not very long, just in case you don't know, right? Because even high performance race cars, NASCARs and those sort of things, this is what they're working on. How do I know this? I used to be in drag racing for motorbikes. I had a 1400 Yamaha, big bike. If it fell on you, I couldn't get up, and that happened. You know, you can't lift it, such a big bike, right? I understand what that vehicle needed. When my kids were very young, we went to the drag races all the time, and, you know, getting up at 4 a.m. and driving for hours and spending, you know, all day there and taking all the tires and all the avgas, right? It's a particular type of fuel. You don't put petrol or diesel into these vehicles. Do you understand? High performance vehicles need high performance maintenance, preparation and maintenance, because of the amount. How do you feel about that? Is that like, oh, cool, or is that like, holy, I'm scared, right? So let's pull it all together a little bit, because I've spread it out. I've gone right, or it seems that way to me. It may seem perfectly tempered for you. Okay, just depends where you're at. So what I'm saying is, when you're expanding your capacity. So your inner core, or how you know, your straw maybe goes from this thickness to this thickness, and then from this thickness maybe to this thickness, and continue. Do you understand? So you have this until you're, I mean, we can continue to unfold this, but until you're that ascension tube, that super highway, that pillar of light, your super highway. So if that's your, and I can see some of the people that are here, actually all the people that I can see on Instagram and on the Zoom, I can't see on social media who you are, so you'd have to say something for me to see you. this is relevant for, because I know for a fact that you have expanded from the straw, which means that you are having information come in, and it can overwhelm the system. Not necessarily the mind, but it can overwhelm the mind too, or the minds, the three minds, wherever that hits you or comes in. So conscious evolution or creative conscious revolution is about, my phone's ringing, hang on, I'll just put it over there, is about looking after your system, all your systems, knowing how to do that, not being scared. So when there is a feeling of overwhelm, well, what is that about? And meeting it with openness, not with a closed fist. When you meet somebody, if you meet with a closed fist, it's really hard to connect. When you meet with an open hand, there's more of a connection, more intimacy, just as a way of thinking about it, right? So when fear comes up, we try to punch it. If you knew that that fear was not going to hurt you, had no way of hurting you, it was just an indication of number two. Oh, that's interesting. Number two. Anyway, that's my mind just went into, do you know what I mean? Like SHIT, right? That's what we call number two. But none of us want that. No, really. It just came into me. I'm like, oh my goodness, right? Negative mind is number two. And number two, it's like we don't want to interact with number twos. But if we don't, we die. If you get constipated for long enough, you will die. If you have the runs for long enough, you will die. There's a possibility, it's serious stuff. Holding on too much, releasing too much, either end of the spectrum. Right? So think of that now. I'm giving you something to think about. Okay, it's a number two. All right. Am I holding on or am I releasing too much? What am I pushing away and what am I holding on to? Where's that center of neutrality? Right? When we come into the four, where it holds it all. So when you need to release, you release, and when you need to hold on, you hold on. But it's not like because you're stuck. You're stuck on full throttle or full shutdown. So brakes on, sitting at the starting line. Everyone else is gone and probably finished, and you're still sitting at the starting line, or full throttle, and all the things that can happen, right? You don't stop at the end and you smash into the wall or take out a bunch of people or whatever it is. Think of whatever metaphor will help you to recall this stuff. So linking this to those of you that have seen past teachings, the psychological teachings, this is more the spiritual teachings, it's spiritual science. It's a spiritual technology. Just as important, if not more, because the psychological and the other sciences come from the ancient technologies, right? Ways of knowing. If we see this center as the mindful awareness, our true identity, and all the bits around it as our protective layers, which in psychology we may, or certain types of psychology we may call adaptive strategies. or our protective strategies. Pardon me, the parts of ourself that are keeping us safe and coming in. And if they're not integrating to a more extreme, it's the multiple personalities or the dissociative or the DID, right? These multiple personalities that you're not even conscious, you may not even be consciously aware that they're playing out in your playing field, in your life, because there's no integration. They're not talking to each other in a way that you know, the aspect of you is in on it, right? You're unconscious of it. So there's behaviors that come out and you're not fully aware that you're behaving these fears of fear or these fears of love out in the world. Comes aspects of your personality. It's not who you are. It is not who you are. So that's the type of work, you know, we do one-to-one. I did put out, there are a couple of spaces. I only take 5 people for those intense one-to-ones to work on your fears. It's based on sensory motor psychotherapy. And we're looking at what is holding you back and what are these pieces that are coming up. You can only see them usually when you're stressed or under pressure. So, and when you are there without guidance, they just come and then they go, and you have to deal with the outcome of the behavior, whatever that might be, what you say, what you do, how you act, how you project into the world. You're projecting your fears into the world and onto others. Okay. And how that stops you from acting in ways that will move you forward. You can't see the gaps. You can't see what will assist you to have a choice in another direction. And like I said, I'm going to circle back. Like I said, with my personal life, like I'm sharing how I do it. It's like, and I'm not perfect. I'm just modeling some aspects so that you can sort of see the theory in practice, right? When you can see that, then there's somebody else in the world that will have the answer. So what stops you looking or asking? Your fear. Your fear of fear. How these parts of the self, there may be one that says, oh, of course this happened to you. You know, guilt, shame, all the early childhood encodings. You're not good enough. Everything you do is hopeless. You know, you're not deserving of this. You're not heard. You're not seen. You don't matter. Or whatever it is for you, you'll have a sense if you sit down and think about it. What are the types of self-talk or what you hear or what you feel come in when you're stressed? Because if it's any of those, you're not going to look for any other way out. You're going to go, oh, of course this happened to me. This is what I deserve, or something like that, right? Not all the time, but, you know, it can happen. Or it'll be like, oh, it was meant to be. How many this is spiritual ego. Oh my God. So yesterday I was talking about the physical ego, and then at the next level, there's the spiritual ego. And the spiritual ego will be like, oh, I'm going with the flow and this is what came in, so it must be meant to be. You still have choice. And if you don't feel that you have choice, then you're in that spiritual ego, and it's telling you, and it's still trying to hold you there. Why? Because there's divine intuition. There's the expansion, the full expansion into the 10, where you're all of it. Purity of unconditional love is beyond all that. So even if you feel that way or you have that language coming in, you go, oh, okay, I hear that. Yep, that's familiar. That's what I've told myself, or that's what's come in for the last 20, 30, 50 years. Yeah, how you doing? Yep, there's my fear response. Give it a hug. Give it a hand around the shoulder. I see you. Yep, you're here and you're trying to keep me safe. You are. And you have. And these are the other options. If something's coming in, so you're the director of the company, and so you might have your management in there helping you with the decisions. It's information. You can still choose something other. Because until you understand that you've got direct access, uncorrupted, right? Until you know that, the information coming in could be from one of these aspects that are trying to keep you safe. How do you know that? These are the practices. How are you in your general state of consciousness? How are you? How do you feel? See, sense, know. What is your body and your energetics and your whole self? What does it feel like when you start to go through and expand into these altered states of consciousness, right? Intuition, psychic abilities, mediumship abilities, trance abilities, channeling ability, whatever it is, right? You're expanding in certain ways. Each one of those processes or methods of getting information is a different part of the conscious, whether you're going up or down or out. Do you know what I mean? And those of you that have done trance and mediumship, you'll understand that. It feels different, doesn't it? It's a different process. It's a different part. When you practice that enough, then you have an understanding of the different parts of self and the different parts of self in different states of consciousness. When you are proficient at that, so when you practice that, that's when you know. Otherwise, you're guessing, and that's okay. If you want to guess, that's okay. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, those of you that want to be proficient and understand themselves to that degree, hang around. That's what we do here. That's what we do in the programs. If you're interested in Psi, which is a 10-month, I haven't even put it out yet. I think, the maximum would probably take 3 more people. The reason why is because the data that will need to be done for you so that you have the information, the data, then over 10 months, you start to go deeper into that data and see and understand it. We do a painting process. So every month there's the part of the painting process. You often see my paintings here. They're over there today, so you won't see those. But it's a very small intake. Why? Because it's a container. It's a powerful container. And what we go into is so deep. And I'm watching and I'm with you. And I'm shifting and changing with that information as it's coming and going. So it's a very, it's the mothership of all the programs. So I don't really have anything out there at the moment, but if you're interested, just contact me and we can have a talk about it and see whether it's something that you would like to do. It is an investment. It's an investment of time and money. Right. The ladies that went through the last one. So this is different. This is a different Psi. It's Psi Cura, which is a different program, but it's an aspect of Psi. The ladies that went through Psi last time. I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to mention any names. But They didn't care how much it cost. They didn't care when it was. They were just like, yep, I'm in for the next one. And I was like, what? Because of what they achieved in that program. And then it's like, okay, what else do you want? What other dreams and desires do you want to hit? Because it's ongoing. Now, it's not that you have to continue to do those programs, but when you're in that momentum and you can see your potential and you're starting to live into your potential, you want to keep that momentum, right? So they jumped in. I didn't plan to say this, but this has all come up. So if you want to know more about it, but like I said, it is the top program, so it is an investment, and you know, I won't budge on that because of the amount of time I put into that, and your charts and what I have to do to prepare for your journey. And then the monitoring of that journey over 10 months. So I monitor you and track your progress, right? It's not a program that you just come in and, you know, if you've done your work, you've done your work, you're not, right? It's for those that really would like to experience this directly and reach their goals, their unreasonable dreams, have experiences that maybe they never thought they could have, right? And sometimes you hit your goal and then you have this experience, and then it's like, okay, now you've got another 6 months left. Reevaluate, let's go, right? Hit, grow, integrate. What happens in your body as you're growing, as you're, opening, as new experiences are coming in. Because remember, I said, as you step into a desire, there's so much fear that comes up because you have to change these aspects of self. Their relationship with you has to change, and they will come up and try to hold you where you are, just like the energetics do. Triple Warmer will try and hold you where you are because it's safe. It's trying to keep you safe. There are ways that we can navigate and work with these energies and with these aspects so that they feel you're with them and they're with you until you've integrated and you speak as one. Your song. Are you ready? So whether you do the program or not, just listen to this, maybe re-listen to it, and can contemplate, are there areas in your life of what you want to recalibrate that, to go, okay, where is there a gap where maybe there's someone else or something else that could assist that process rather than just give. I mean, there's surrender, sure, there's surrender. And there's taking action. And as you take action, I'm here to tell you, as you step, the map will be shown. It's love in action. If you're sitting at the bus stop and the bus comes along to take you where you need to go, if you do not get on the bus, you won't get there. You must take action. You must stand up, and in some places you have to actually raise your hand and flag the bus to stop. But even if the bus stops, you've got to take action and get on the bus. If the bus is a paid bus, you have to have taken the action to have the coins or the card to pay for the bus ride. These are actions. If you're sitting in your life just wanting it all to come to you, I'm telling you, you're sitting at the bus stop and the buses are just passing you. So where is it? What is the action that you can take today? in 24 hours. Write something down. What do you want? And what's one tiny thing that you can take an action on? It may be as simple as contemplating where the gap is and what community there may be somebody that knows. It could be sending me a message if you think it's something that I know, or a friend or family member, or Googling something and getting a phone number, or I don't know what you're stuck with. If it's with a relationship, are there people, are there experts, if you're saying, I don't have the time and I don't have the money, well, it's not important enough for you. Your value is either skewed or you're unconscious. If you want that relationship or that job or that outcome enough, if it's valuable to you, you will do what it takes. It starts with one little action. So what's the action that you're going to take today? And you can private message me if you want some witnessing, right? And then let me know. Who knows? I may know somebody that can help you. I may be able to link you in with somebody, or whatever. I'm not saying I'm going to do it for you. I actually don't have a lot of time right now, but I'm saying, a message to let me know, to witness, or if you do think that I may have a connection, write to me. Okay, where are we? We're at 10 o'clock. So I think we'll wrap up the live, and I'll just see if the mastermind has any questions or comments, or see where you're at and where I can support you. So for those of you that are watching on Instagram and social media, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're watching from, yeah, we sort of went on a whole nother tangent today, but that's just how I roll sometimes. And for those of you in the mastermind, come over to the Zoom link and we'll pull this apart a little bit in relation to you. If you've got a question or something that you're challenged by, or something you want to move forward on, but you feel like there's something holding you, right? There's fear, and how you can connect with that fear. So those of you that aren't in the mastermind, I'm just thinking about the points. So I gave you a couple of points there. I didn't go deep into the meditations and whatnot, but you could do that breath that I said. So the breath where at your heart is like the chalice. And as you breathe in, you're filling the chalice with the aspects of self that have gone out into the world. And as you breathe in, you're calling the aspects of yourself back to sit in the chalice of the heart or the chest. Right? So breathe that in. And then as you breathe out, you're telling them to stay here. You're not asking them, you're telling it. It's a part of you. You are the director. This is your baton. Are you ready? You're going to conduct and be the director of your life and your energies and the aspects of spirit that go out of you through all the five senses as you breathe when you're unconscious. So a conscious breath is a magnificent practice if you have nothing else, okay? So as you breathe out, notice, just take a breath out, where your awareness is, where your consciousness is, what your are you thinking about what you're going to eat, or those shoes, or having to pack for a trip, or what you're going to do, right? You're outside of you're off. That's where you are. That part of you is. So call it back. Calling spirit back. Just call it that for simplicity. Calling the spirit back into the heart, the chalice of the heart. And as you breathe out, you tell it, you command it. Some people don't like that word. Find a word that means something to you, that is in directorship. You're the boss. You're a professional, not an amateur. Okay? You're the employer, not the employee of this system. So as you breathe out, stay here. Stay here. Right? And just continue that breath a few times. And just see how that feels to call all the aspects of yourself back into your center. In command, in directorship, as the leader of the orchestra. So when you play your song into the world, it's melodic, not catastrophic. It's bringing life and healing, not destruction. All right, so we'll end on that. Bit dramatic for you this morning. All right. So much love, and I'll have to get back to you whether I'm here again this week, because there's a few things. There's a few things in the air. Okay, so I've just got to play it that way for this week. So those of you on the Holistic Mystic, I'll let you know when I'll be available. And for those of you, you can just keep an eye on Rhombus Healing Arts Facebook, is where I post when I'm going to do the lives. But generally it's 4 times a week, but just because I'm transitioning and working out what country I'm going to be and all that sort of stuff, there's a bit going on, people. So we just got to give it a big hug and know that I have choice. So what's coming in now, I have much more choice. Remember, I can still choose the same outcome because it's my choice now. It's not me being told or demanded or, pushed around. So on that note, much love and may the blessings be till we meet again. Okay, see you, Instagram. And we'll just unlock from Facebook for now.